2 weeks into camp now. Can you talk about some of maybe the movers and shakers, guys that have worked their way up the depth chart that have really impressed you?
Yeah, if you look offensively, I think the three running backs I've been very pleased with. I think they've had a great camp. There's a lot of conversations about replacing Zach Stacy, and I understand that. But I think those three guys have stepped up. I think Austin Carta-Samuels has had. I thought he'd have a good camp, but I think he's having a better camp than I anticipated. Really, from the scrimmage last Saturday, I think the offense is really starting to build some confidence. As good as Jordan was last year, I think he's had a better camp. I really do. I think Kraus is coming on and becoming a real factor in what's going on right now. And then the O-line as a whole. On defense, I think the defensive line is what stood out. I think Stephen Weatherly, like we talked about in the spring, how excited we are. I think he's doing some great things. Caleb's doing about what we thought, which is really good. Vince has probably been the surprise. You watch him condition at the end. That was always an issue for him. He could go hard for 3 plays, but he had a hard time sustaining it in the past. And right now, during practice and conditioning afterwards, he's doing really well. And then in the secondary, all the guys that you expect to do well have done well. I think probably Andrew Williamson is the guy that's had a really good camp. If you came out and didn't know anything about our starting lineup in the past, you'd probably think Andrew Williamson is one of our starters. Another guy's Hudson, the punter. I think he's been killing it. He really has. I think, like a lot of guys, there's still some consistency issues that we'd like at that position, but I think he's done really well. Probably one of the strongest camps, in terms of maybe not anticipating that happen.
No.
Talk about your camp, Austin, and whether or not you're pleased with yourself to this point. James certainly thinks you've had an excellent camp.
Yeah, I feel good with where I am. I think there's always room to improve. I think what's really exciting is you want to be confident going into that first game and the next practice. And for me, camp started off a little choppy. The first week, it's always difficult. You're always putting in a lot of different things. But really, these last 8 or 9 practices, I've been playing the best I've played in my college football career. So I'm going to ride that wave here for the next 2 weeks, and very excited for whoever comes into that stadium in 2 weeks from today.